Welcome to East Coast DNA. We're back here with another of our Zoom calls. At the time of this recording, I'm not sure what we're going to call these going forward, but we definitely wanted to get this new artist in. So welcome, Joe Hubley.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited.
So, Joe, you reached out when you were releasing your first single, and timing just didn't allow us to get you in earlier. So I apologize for that right off the bat, because I think when you had sent it within 5 minutes, I wrote you back saying how good the song was. So obviously I became a fan really quick. So I want
No,
to make
man,
sure.
everything happens when it's meant to. It's God's plan.
Yeah,
I'm just happy that we
exactly.
got it together and got down here because I'm a big fan too of the show. So I'm happy
Well,
to
thank
chat
you
with
very much. And so we will talk about your first single. But as far as things happening for a reason, the timing's kind of working good that you were able to share a demo of your follow-up single there with me. So
you. Oh yeah.
when are we expecting to hear the follow-up single?
Right now the date is kind of looming in the air, but I
Yeah.
would mark the whole week of sort of, the first week of July. I
Okay.
would, just
Perfect.
poke your head out the window, see if anyone's
Yeah.
talking. I think that you might hear some good things coming around the bend around that time.
Awesome. So that's something to keep an eye out for. So dialing it back a little bit then, your first single, April 17th-ish, I believe, was when it came
I
out,
think it was,
around that time
you know
frame.
what? I think it was actually the 7th, so it would have been 2 months ago, like
Okay.
around this time. Yeah, yeah.
There you go. So it's obviously, and anybody that's watching this episode hopefully has heard the song already, but if not, we'll give them a little treat here in this episode. But it's obviously well produced. It's got a real solid sound there. I mean, where you're a new artist, not just new to me, but you're kind of new on the scene as well as far as releasing solo material. So maybe give me a little background about who Joe is and where you came from. You're Halifax based at the moment.
Yes, yes, Halifax.
So yeah, where does Joe come from? Are you another of our music students that are popping right directly into the industry, or?
No.
Oh, well, there you
I'm
go.
not much
Unique.
of a student at all, but man, where do I even start? Hi everyone, I'm Joe. I'm a fun guy, I think, and I'm really just honestly, I'm just a music fan, and I felt like it took me a long time to get to a spot where I really felt like I could share what I think I have to share to the world.
Sure.
And now I'm there. Now I'm really there. I'm there in a big way. I've never been more immersed in a feeling than I think I am right now. And so I grew up just listening to a lot of music, ingesting it all, and kind of finding out little things through weird spots. I think the urge to create music really came when I delved into Motown records and I found soul artists through like the 50s and 60s and 70s and stuff. The biggest one, the most prominent artist for me has always been Bill Withers. I think
Okay.
he's the greatest songwriter that I've ever heard with my own 2 ears. I think he's really I'm not trying to ramble too much, but that's kind of the beautiful thing about music is that everyone kind of has a different spot and
Yeah.
someone that resonates with them more. And I think that's kind of what I realized is that even though there's some times where I really had a hard time, like you said, kind of getting my solo material together and getting like a whole release schedule together, just because of like insecurity and all this weird, wild stuff. I kind of realized that I also have my own thing to give. You know what I mean? I'm not Bill Withers, but I think that's kind of where I got to the position I am in now. And so I'm hoping that that whole ramble session can just give you a bit of who I am because
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm really I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be sharing these songs. I'm happy to be doing things like talking to you who like, you're out there doing some great things for a really talented and diverse and vast music scene that we have here in the East Coast. And I'm just happy that, at 19 years old that I am now, I'm able to kind of pitch my own little piece of that into there. And although I'm not like a music student, like I'm not educated or anything like that, I feel like I got some soul in me that needs to get out for my own sanity. So I'm just hoping that other people enjoy it along the way.
Yeah, and that kind of funk and Motown sound, definitely I can hear the influence in the music. That was
Oh,
really
good.
interesting actually, because I do make some assumptions when I do these interviews, but I always make them into a question so that I can make sure I get an accurate answer. And a couple times I was surprised, especially with yourself, like you say, you're 19. So not probably the assumption most people are going to make about what kind of music a 19-year-old's listening to in the last 20, 30 years. It's not usually great music. Everyone appreciates it, but it's usually something that either you've had put upon you in your early years because of the people you were around, or something that you kind of grow an appreciation for later in your life. So unique that you're able to identify that at an early age and find a niche in there.
And you
The
know what it
pop
was?
sound too, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You're saying.
Well, you know what? I just have ideas bubbling all over the place, but I'll tie it in because like the pop music too. I'm just a sucker for a pop song, and
Hmm.
sometimes I find and there's nothing wrong with this, but I just find that and maybe it's just you know what it is because I'm just not that like I don't really like to do things too complex. Like I'm a really just like I like to chill, I like to sleep, I like to hang out. I'm not really ever trying to make things too complicated. And so when I think about music, I just I know good emotion and that's kind of what I want to feel all the time. And so I'm hoping that I can also make other people feel that way. And so with the pop music thing, it was really just I want to use this strange kind of essence that we have that is kind of music and in a way of kind of making it an art form. I want to make people just kind of feel good. And I think the easiest way to do that, I think it's been proven, is I just if you can make like a 2 minutes and 30, 3 minute, real accessible, understandable, digestible song. I think that's just a good way of making people feel good. I because I know that made me feel good. And that's kind of where the Motown piece comes in, is because I found that unique feeling from these recordings that were so raw. They were so like
Hmm.
there was so many imperfections and intricacies that were so unique to that one recording. And they recorded them off the floor, which I mean, for people that don't understand, is literally just how you'd see a performance. Everyone's just performing at one time. No overdubs, rarely like few overdubs and real moments of production only. It was driven by performance.
Hmm.
And that's where I found my real love for music because it was really just I think there's just musicians out there, especially in that I think era, that were really putting their soul on display, and I just think that's a beautiful thing. And I think there's pieces of music that I think will never be able to be replicated than the one sort of mass-produced recording that we have. And I just think that's such an interesting thing. And so when I was talking about pop music, making other people feel good with music, I mean that's kind of where I felt like I resonated, and I was like, okay, this is a really interesting feeling, and I'm hoping that I can be able to replicate that even on a much smaller scale. If I can just do it for one person, i.e., myself, then I think it's good.
Yeah, most people that know me through the podcast would know that I have a diverse appreciation for all the genres. People that know me a little better or have been around my collection will note that there is definitely a 90s influence and definitely a lot of heavier stuff for as far as genre mix, and some of the heavier stuff maybe doesn't fit in as well, so that usually sticks out to people. But
Right.
what probably maybe like my exes probably are aware of, there's that funky bass feeling.
Come on. Come on.
I can't not dance.
Tell them.
I if anyone ever sees me up in the city shopping, like in the like around the Halifax area malls, I definitely dance through all the clothing stores because of all the pop music that's playing there, and that's usually where I end up getting most of it. I'll whip out
I hope to
Shazam
see
once in
that
a while, like,
someday.
"What's this song?" But
Rocking through a winners.
yeah, you definitely, fit into that category that, Post Up, the first one there, that, bass line grabbed me right away, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty funky," but then to hear that, yeah, the vocals to kinda go with it as well, I was like, "Man, who is this guy? Like, isn't he just new?" So, you are
Oh man.
new. So,
Yeah.
that's all great, great for you. I'm super impressed with that right out of the gate. And then I was able to hear your demo there for your follow what's the name of the follow-up single?
Doesn't have one.
Does it have a name yet? And it's
I
not
wish I was
complete
more
yet.
prepared.
And You
No,
said,
it's still kind of we're adding bits and pieces, still kind of mixing it around, but we're really, really zeroing it in. I think the final version, which is one I'm really happy.
and you hinted that there would be some saxophone being layered into that.
I won't even hint. I'll tell you outright. We got a
That's
mean
awesome.
saxophone player coming in. He's gonna lay down some sauce. It's gonna be real good.
That's crazy. I can't wait to hear it. So, with all of the, like, effort that you put into these singles, is it building up to some type of album later in the year or like an EP, or are you looking for the digital singles and getting views and that type of deal?
Yeah, I'm really not good at planning that sort of thing. I know I should be, but I'm not really a mastermind by any sense. But I think that I we are building to a tape of sorts where I'm hoping to just kind of give a bit of a taste of who I am, at least right now. It's kind of
Mhm.
hard to encapsulate every single like facet of my artistry, I think, and not just because I'm some all-knowing God or
Yeah.
mastermind. But it's just really like if you try and put too much pressure on yourself, I think it just kind of leaves you feeling real stagnant.
Yeah.
Or I feel like if you're like, okay, like for example, maybe not enough of my jazz influence, for example,
Yeah.
is showing in this music. So I just got to write a jazz song. It's like it feels like it's not as authentic and as genuine. But these couple songs that we're working with at Youthful, I feel like they really do kind of cover a lot of bases that have influenced me, and that's what makes me feel really good and really confident with the product that's coming out. Is because it feels very authentic, it feels very genuine, and it feels like I'm putting my best foot forward in terms of representing who I am as a musician right now.
Sure.
And you know, the producer I've been able to work with, M. Bowden Gill, in the room with me over there, eat some dinner. I mean, like he's been able to kind of put his twist on it too, and that's what's been so beautiful about this whole working relationship is that we've kind of harnessed this product, harnessed our influences, and put it into one sort of place. And it's really I think a diverse one, and I think it's one that again I think if I can't say nothing, but if there was a tape coming out around the fall, I think that people would be really happy with the diversity in it, but also just the accessibility of it because I think it's some real fresh, awesome pop music that I think this area, the East Coast, needs, and I think maybe the world at large. You know what I mean?
And I do see, now these episodes are released in an audio format and the video format. I definitely encourage people to watch the video format.
Yeah.
I've been pushing YouTube hard, but for anyone that's not able to see the screen, I can see behind you the sound panels on the wall.
Oh, come
So,
on.
is this a home studio that you have set up?
No, this is a world-class studio we got set up. I'm sitting in Youthful Music,
Okay.
at the beautiful north end of Halifax. This is the HQ. This is the Bat Cave. This is where all the magic happens. I mean, I cut post up here, of course, in the new the all the new songs that are coming out and Youthful. I mean, a team of three very, very talented producers: M. Bowden Gill, Colleen Shaw, Braden Cameramans. They're putting out a bunch of good music. They're producing for a bunch of different bands, bunch of different artists coming up, and it's for what I can see, it's kind of like a new wave coming up, and I really think that Youthful thumbprint is going to be on a lot of music that you're going to be appreciating down the road.
Yeah, actually, not too long ago, we had, Chase Clark on as well, and
Yes.
not the same, but I would definitely put you guys together in the same playlist because of the pop sensibilities that he has incorporated into his music. So that's I'm assuming that I didn't just happen upon the 2 up and coming pop stars in the region, that there's probably a whole generation of you that are coming.
You're darn right there is, and I can only speak for what I see that like the mojo that's going on around here in this studio specifically is really something to be reckoned with. And yeah, you got guys like Chase, you got people so some people I admire very much, you know, like Jody Upshaw, for example, is
Mhm.
very talented. Aquaculture, honestly,
Yeah.
like one of my favorite musicians that I've been able to see live with my own two eyes.
We've had
And but
aquaculture on, but we haven't had Jody on, so if Jody hears this,
oh
the
yeah,
invitation's out there, just reach out.
come on, the invitation is out there. This is the call out. This is what this is.
Yeah.
You got to get up on here. It's been a fantastic experience already. But again, like speaking for what I only see, going back to that, I mean, Youthful. This is where it's at. It's hot around here, and so it's been a real blessing. The timelines lined up like magic, and so I've been able to create some good music here, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
And I do see, I think that's a bass leaning up there against the wall, but are you playing the instruments on these songs, or do you have studio musicians, or are you putting together a band for live performances? That's like a whole pack of three questions together. So
A little a
I'll let you
value pack.
ramble a little there.
Let me unbox the value pack. I think, um, in terms of the recordings, it's yeah, just us. The kind of how the process has worked so far is that at least for that first one, we'll just talk for
Mhm,
post up for a second. The first single that I released, if you haven't listened to it, it started kind of on my laptop, just like an idea I was working with, and then kind of like you, it was the bass line that did it for me. I think
mhm.
I was feeling like there was some kind of sauce in there when that one got laid down, and so I just kind of did like a really really rough demo, and I was kind of like feeling, I was a bit of a hot shot. I was coming in, I was like, yeah, this is like pretty well done. We just kind of got to tighten up a couple screws, dot some I's, cross some T's. And so bring it into Youthful, and they just like, they put that thing on the juice. They put that thing on roids. It was really, really like a whole other product that I didn't even think was possible sonically. And in terms of that one, it kind of started like as a little demo on my laptop, using some drum machines, using some synth bass, couple keys and pads, um, real bass, real guitars for a lot of some sections as well. But in terms of like the studio instrumentation, all of it's kind of done between us, between me
Cool.
and Bowden Gill, who's working on the production side. It's kind of all really just us two going mad, going buck wild, and then sometimes reeling ourselves back in. But we find a happy medium and we find a good spot, just in the stuff that we have in these four walls. But in terms of live shows, we're still kind of toying around with a little situation. But what I will say, it's going to be crunk either way, whether it's a 12-piece jazz band playing it, or if it's just me and M on the turntables. I think we're toying around with a couple situations that I think either way, I think we're gonna do a very good job of representing the product because it's all about the soul, man, and we're gonna
Yeah.
bring it either way, no matter what medium it's in.
So lyrically then, when you were creating something like that, I mean, we'll speak specifically about the first track, I guess, but would you bring lyrics to the table, then work on the beat, or you're working on getting that whole rhythm going, and once you know you have a good groove, you're kind of vibing to it, then you start pulling the words out to put the whole song together?
Yeah, it's all about the groove. I think that's the main ingredient.
Mhm.
Like I'm not too concerned about how it comes. It's kind of more just like a if you know situation. So like sometimes I'll be walking down the street as I do, and a lyrics will come to me, but no real strong melody, and so that's cool. The Notes app is genius. Whoever created that, and so you write it down, jot it down, whatever. But sometimes it's more of like a melodic, uh, sort of section of a song, or maybe a whole song that you hear in your head, and maybe that's when you break up the voice memos or something like that and start humming and everything like that. But it's never really a set way. I know there's some people like for example, one musician I idolize, not idolize, but pretty close is Erica Badu,
Yeah.
and she always talked about how she was always like instrumentation needed to come to her. Like she always needed a beat to then put her vocals down because she said that like anything else is just poetry, and that's not really, she didn't consider herself a poet. I could maybe disagree, but for her it was very very set in stone. I feel like for me it's maybe more of a fluid situation. I think that's the beauty of music. It's like it kind of is like twofold like that. So yeah, for example, like a couple of the songs we're working with, a beat was brought to me by M. Bowden Gill. But for the other ones that maybe started more with a couple words, maybe a concept that I was just toying around with in my mind. So I think that's kind of what makes it more fun too, is that you kind of never know when it's going to attack you like a blitzkrieg, and when it does, you just kind of be ready to handle it and hopefully be able to replicate it as best you can.
Awesome. And so going into the summer, I assume that your plan is to release that follow-up single and work
Yes,
on the
sir.
follow-up to that. I assume that there's a third one coming behind that within a couple months after.
I
I'm
think you maybe read my mind. I can't
I'm
can't confirm or
I'm
deny.
I'm going to go with the assumption that is one thing that it seems to becoming organically standard these days as far as releasing material. That whether or not you release an EP or an album or physical or digital, it seems to be all over the place depending on the artist. But as far as singles, there definitely seems to be a pattern that you got to kind of pace it a little bit and push them out and see how they go. And then from there, you make your decisions on what you're doing with the rest of it. But it's great to hear that for you, it's coming from a place of the music first and you're having fun doing it because that's the dream, right? If you can have fun doing what you do, every day is a dream. So
My
are you,
gosh, my life is awesome. Let me just interrupt you right there, but go on.
yeah, well, now I'm going back to your age and gonna have to make some more assumptions here so you can
Yes,
once again correct me as we go along. But at 19 years of age, you're done high school, you're
yes, I am.
doing
Thankfully.
music, but are you working to support the music or are you full tilt music and trying to make it that way?
Oh no, it's a grind. Unfortunately, working the old day job, but you know what? I'm glad because I don't want to just be like a if you were in a relationship and you were like trying to commit yourself to somebody, and you was just like all together time all the time. I feel like that relationship kind of falls apart, and I feel like it's the same with music. You're kind of doing like a little tango, and if I didn't have, like, another place to go, like a day job, for example, I feel like I would just, like, snap. Like, I'd just be like, "Ah, it's not working for me." I feel like I kinda look at, like, a day job, for example, or anything, if someone was able to support themselves on music, that's great. But if they had, like, kind of a different hobby, it's more of like an incubation period for
Yeah,
your creativity.
yeah.
Because you gotta separate yourself, at least me, I have to separate myself. Sometimes I go home and I'll visit somebody and we'll be hanging out all the time, and I'll just be like, "Okay, let's take a breather." It's kind of the same with music, and as beautiful as music is, kind of in essence, I think that it is very important to sort of just turn your subconscious on because, like, I'm a server, for example, and I love it. I love walking around and talking to people. You can tell I love to talk, and I'll do it forever. But I do think it's very important because your subconscious kind of takes over, but there is still a piece of your mind that wheel is always turning. So when you do have those very sudden ideas musically, you hear a verse of lyrics or you hear a melody, something
Mhm.
like that. I think that comes from, the subconscious, and that comes from those periods and pockets of just doing something different with your mind because I think, it's very important. So yeah, long story short, I do have a day job, but I do value it very, very much. And like yeah, I've only been on this world for a couple of years. I still got, hopefully, God willing, some more time to do so. And right now, I know that I'm having fun. Right now, I know that I'm feeling really good about myself, and it took a long time to get there, but now that I am, I could not complain, even if I tried very, very hard. So we got some, and I think that's what's feeding into the music, that like kind of positive energy and stuff. And I think that's how I know that this is a product that I want to be represented by.
Well, the episode opens with a little intro of the song, so people definitely have a little bit of an earworm from that bass
I hope
line.
they didn't turn it right off.
Well, I will say that at the end of the episode, with your permission, we'll throw the full track in there so everybody can hear it.
Yes,
I
please.
I definitely think that, it's it's definitely in the category of earworm because I'll put it on and then go do something else, and I have that bass line stuck in my head, and then I don't I'll admittedly say I don't know the lyrics at this point, but my brain wants to
Come
start
on.
singing because it hears where you come in, and
Yeah.
when if I'm doing the dishes or something here where I got some privacy and there's nobody around, that's what I wanna do. So I'm definitely I do see Bandcamp, I think is where I saw you had lyrics out for it. Is
I
that
think I might on there. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll have to, bring the laptop over next time I'm out doing the dishes so I can, have the
Do
visual
some
reference to
studying.
lyrics. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
please.
nail it.
I mean, that's so nice though. I appreciate you saying that. It really is. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that people don't get sick of it, but I really do appreciate that.
No, I was just recently busted at a live performance for grooving and singing along because the artist had picked it up, so I because it was another pop musician that, once again, it's not what I'm always going to, so some people may be surprised if they see me with that, but, yeah, definitely
Hey
that
man,
one's in my playlist.
no disses over here. I'm in those clothing stores grooving along with you.
Yeah, there you go, yeah, maybe we'll do a little tango someday at Winners or something, and
We'll just, but we won't plan it. We'll just find ourselves one day. We'll just be
yeah,
grooving over to the same spot. It's all about the energy.
yeah, yeah, definitely. If anybody sees 2 random dudes dancing towards each other, come
Leave them
over and say
alone.
hi.
Just leave. Oh yeah, no, actually, that's better. That's
Yeah,
better.
you know it's us.
Yeah, I'll be in. I'll probably be in like a Value Village. I've been rocking with that place lately.
So, that is an awesome place. Actually, have I danced at Value Village? I think we got a music video in the works. We'll have to talk when the next
Am
single's
I gonna
out.
make our debut?
I
Yeah.
think I think we're I think we're gonna do a music video dancing in Value Village. I'll take the drive up for the day, and we'll just record some candid footage.
You let me know. Say the word.
So for people that are watching this episode and you are a new musician to them as well, they're gonna be instantly hooked here at the end of the episode, listen to the song. I'll put some links and everything down in the description for everybody, but before we let you go, where should people follow Joe Hubley online to keep up to date with everything that's going on?
This is a lot. I'm still working on my social media gang, but
Yeah.
I would definitely say my. I mean, I'm on Instagram at Hubley Joe, HubleyJoe, and I'm on Facebook as well. You know me, and you can go to my website. I got one of those now, which is kind of funny to me. But joehubley.com. I mean, that's, you know what? Let me restart. joehubley.com. That's got all the links to the
It
social
has all
media.
the
So you
links
ain't
in it.
gotta yeah, you don't even gotta remember.
Perfect.
Go to the website. Check it all out. I even got a bio on there if you want to read about me for some reason. But really, I would just you know, check me out on the social media, but also like the streaming platforms is what I'm thinking about. If you hit follow, of course you get notified when we are dropping some new music, and it is coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
And so if you don't yak at the sound of what's coming at the end of this episode, then I think you'll like everything else that's coming. And other than that, just watch for me at the top because I'm headed there and I'm headed there fast. Got my
So
eyes locked.
I will recommend then anyone that's listening that wants to hear more material that they go listen to it on somewhere like Spotify, put it on repeat, turn the volume
Please.
down, go to sleep,
Come on.
forget about it for a couple days, come back after it's got a few thousand views, crank her back up, get grooving into it, and then you'll see that Joe Hewley's the biggest star of Halifax because of the thousands and thousands of Spotify views.
And you know what I want to say too? Please also check out Youthful Music because I was gassing them up earlier, but I really do mean it. They're at Youthful Music, but it's spelled UTHFUL Music. That's
Okay.
like on social media. They also got a website too. So I mean, like, I'm all Lady Lemonade over what I got going on, but again, there's some more heat that these guys are packing. So I encourage you to check out the whole scene, the whole wave that's coming. So Youthful Music as well. Check them out on the internet. But
We'll have some
I think you'll
links
like
for
what
them
you
as
hear.
well. So, a question then for Youthful Music, if
Yes,
there's
please.
any other artists in the area that are liking what they're hearing about the studio, like, is that something that they can just reach out directly and book time? Is it a smaller knit group? How is that available to people?
Yeah, in terms of the studio, they're usually contactable through their website. So I would
Mhm.
just say send them a message, tell them what you're thinking of. And it's a very generous group of people around here. I'm sure you guys could figure something out. I don't think they're exclusive by any means, but it it definitely is something I think I know like in terms of like who they're working with, we're keeping that locked up until it
Sure.
gets released because it's gonna make a splash when it does. But yeah, I would just say go to their website and just see what they're all about and then go from there because I really don't think you'd be disappointed.
And for anyone there at the studio that is listening, I'm not going to ask for the name drops at this point, especially while we're recording. But if you want to send any of your artists to us to do some promotions, it worked with Joe here, so we're definitely open to meeting some new folks in the area. That's for sure.
10 out of
And
10 would recommend.
and going forward, we'll definitely be keeping in like the podcast itself. We'll be keeping an eye on what you have going on. Maybe in a few months, if you have a follow up, you can reach back out and we'll do a little follow up episode for our fans to hear what's been happening. I'm excited to hear that next single. Like I said, I did hear it. It's very good. It's just a little bit different, but when you mentioned that the sax was gonna be later, I'm like, "Oh, I kinda don't wanna listen to it too much now because I wanna hear the full version and not have the old version stuck in my head at the same time."
Demoitis.
Yeah, yeah. I have a small collection of demos on my computer over in the corner here, and I use them sparingly. Sometimes I forget that they're not released, but
Amen. I know
but
what you mean.
that's why they're on a separate computer so that I don't accidentally share them somewhere in one of my posts or something, but,
You
yeah,
leak them out.
very excited to hear more coming from your whole camp, and, I'll be excited to see what type of configuration you have for any type of live performance that you do. I'm crossing my fingers that as you're putting everything together that, there's a showcase in the future that I can really see you go, full out and give everyone the full experience of what you have visioned there.
My friend, I would just glue yourself to that Instagram page. I will be posting about that stuff coming up, but I just want to thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here. Happy to be talking about music. It's my like favorite thing on this earth, and from someone I can understand that respects and knows a lot about music. So, thank you again. It's a privilege, and I'd be happy to come back anytime. Really,
Yeah, well, thanks for giving us your time, and, we'll definitely, keep in touch and, try to have you back on for a follow-up in the future. Alright.
much love.
Thanks again, and everyone stick around and, listen to the first single. Keep your ears open for a follow-up in the very near future. Alright, thanks again.
Thank you.
Why you so insecure? What you think I love you for? Yeah, why you always lying? Can't you tell that your body's hypnotizing me? Feel your body moving so naturally. Hear me when you know you a masterpiece. Reaching for the moment like it's passing me. We can body closer. We can make the most of a love we always promised and the life we lead. Do what we're supposed to. Move you like we're posed up. Girl, it's happens time and time again. I've been trying to tell you we can go higher in the sky. We can go higher in the sky, in the sky, in the sky. We can go, oh, nah, nah. Don't act like you don't even know me. Don't act like we're just please and thank you nice. Talk once or twice. Feel my fingertips. Love's such a hindrance, but we can make it through if we try. We can ride it closer. We can make the most of a love we always promised and the life we lead. Do what we're supposed to. Move you like we're posed up. Oh, yeah. This happens time and time again. I've been trying to tell you we can go